The last couple of months have been phenomenal in terms of AI advancement. 5 months ago, the company OpenAI released Chat-GPT, a chatbot that basically can answer any questions you might have. Any good AI model needs huge amount of data to provide good results, so how the hell have they been able to pull that off? We're going to try to understand how one of the most secretive as well as promising company of the world managed to achieve that. Where did they get that data from? Did they steal it? If I own content on the web, should I be worried that it gets stolen too? And finally, do all these questions even matter anyway? Hey there, I'm Max, a solopreneur passionate about data and entrepreneurship in tech. Unless you've been living in a cave, I assume that by now you heard of Chat-GPT. Chat-GPT has been developed by OpenAI, an artificial intelligence startup founded by Sam Altman. Sam was the president of Y Combinator, the famous Silicon Valley incubator. He replaced the legendary Paul Graham, who founded YC.
All right.
So when Paul Graham himself lists Sam Altman in his top 5 founders of all time,
Sam, however, is going to be good at running a giant thing.
I think it speaks to itself. ChatGPT is what is called an LLM, a large language model. This model can interpret language, execute a set of tasks, and retrieve billions of information from the web almost instantly. The tool is pretty incredible. It's extremely useful in a lot of use cases. One of them, in which it is extremely good at, is in summarizing long text format as well as explaining complex topics in a very simple way.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
The field of artificial intelligence has seen tremendous progress over the past years and even more over the past month.
Life moves pretty fast.
OpenAI underlying models have been improving at a very fast pace, with machines needing more and more computing power. This has been made possible by the drop of the cost of RAMs and GPUs over the years. But that performance is sitting on the shoulders of 2 powerful ideas. The first one is transformers. GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. The transformer model concept was kind of ironically introduced by Google initially in 2017, and more specifically by Google Brain. Basically, transformers consist in 2 parts, an encoder and a decoder. The encoder works on the input and the decoder operates on the target output. It works on a sequence-to-sequence basis. It takes a sequence of tokens and predicts the next ones. A token is the basic unit of a text, a sequence of contiguous characters or symbols that the model processes. It's basically allowing a more direct connections from the human language to the machine language. And the other powerful idea is web scraping. Web scraping, also known as web crawling, is basically automating little bots that will go on web pages and collect data automatically. If you've been watching my content, you probably have heard about it already. You can watch these 2 videos that will pop out. One where I automated the collection of thousands of lyrics from different hip-hop artists, and the other one where I collected thousands of book titles to help crafting better YouTube video titles. OpenAI managed to train their models on billions of data and achieve this performance by crawling billions of pages publicly available on the web. Non-copyrighted content as well as copyrighted content. And that's where it gets tricky. An AI model is only as good as its data. How could they come up with such tool without stealing people's work? Did they get approval from the website owners? And that's what ChatGPT doesn't tell you. Now you might say, well, I know that ChatGPT has been only trained on data up to 2021 anyway, so we can still ask OpenAI to identify all the data sources that the model has been trained on. Well, since the web browsing feature has been introduced in ChatGPT, it's not really true anymore. You can now easily access billions of content, even the ones just brand new from yesterday. Alright, so we'll start with the obvious issue of using ChatGPT only, which is to take it as the only single source of truth. ChatGPT has been often compared to Google Search as you go on these platforms when you're searching for some answers. But ChatGPT is not as open and transparent as Google Search, as there are different tools. Google will show you the raw data of multiple web pages, when ChatGPT will give you only one output. If we attempt a food analogy, Google Search is organic food, when ChatGPT is processed food. In a sense, if Google is a search engine, then ChatGPT could rather be called a find engine. The danger of that is taking the outputs at face value and becoming misinformed.
You are fake news.
Especially in a world where we're all being TikToked Our ability to focus and understand nuances is shrinking by the day. People now just want a quick answer, the TLDR. To conclude on that one, obviously do your research, don't use ChatGPT as the only main information source, and complement it with other qualitative sources. Now let's move on to the real deal, the most controversial topic. We saw earlier that OpenAI collected billions of data by accessing web pages publicly available. To do that, they mostly use the Common Crawler, aka CCBot, a non-profit organization that provides access to web information by producing and maintaining an open repository of web crawl data. AI tools like ChatGPT raise ethical concerns. In that specific case, I see four main issues. Violating copyright rights. The scraped data can come from any unprotected website, and website owners may actually have copyrights on the data they own. Potential bias in the data collected. Since data sources are not divulged, we don't know what kind of data and IDs have been put into the model. The Washington Post, for example, already raised concern about this. Reducing visitors' traffic. As users get answers directly from ChatGPT, they are less likely to navigate on the original source, aka the website the data was taken from. Therefore, having ChatGPT serve up information taken from your website to its users decreases the volume of visitors your pages would have gotten otherwise. And monetizing content. ChatGPT is monetizing access to its API that has been fed mostly from data that, if we disregard the server's cost, they collect it for free. We'll double click on the first main concern regarding copyrights and ownership of data, as this is what is creating the most heated debates at the moment. It's not strictly legally forbidden to collect data on a website, as it's open publicly on the web. Web scraping is a great area. There's a lot of complex technical and legal components to determine if scraping is legal or not. It's fair to say that with the amount of data collected by OpenAI, they probably scraped a lot of data without explicit consent from the owners. I'm not saying this is illegal. Notice here I talk about only ethical concerns and not legal concerns. And you could understand that if data from someone's website has been used for ChatGPT model, he probably would like to be mentioned as one of the sources. The problem is that when for Google search, it's pretty easy to reference the source as Google is redirecting to websites. For ChatGPT, being an AI model, the weight of which website, aka source, has contributed to the answer given by ChatGPT is way more subtle and complex to calculate. It's a fine balance between shipping an unfathomable productivity tool while being transparent and give rewards to the data owners of the training data on which ChatGPT was trained on. This is debated even among the most famous venture capitalists of Silicon Valley.
ChatGPT and all these services must use citations of where they got the original work. They must link to them and they must get permission.
So if you own content on the web, whether because you own a social media platform, you've built a website, you're a creator, a blogger, and you're worried about getting your data scraped, what are the possible options available to you? How to protect your creations if you're a content creator, how to protect your articles if you write a blog, your YouTube videos if you're a YouTuber, or even your data if you're an entrepreneur who have built a network with valuable data on your platform, like Quora or Reddit, for example.
More than any other place on the internet, Reddit is a home for authentic conversations. There's a lot of stuff on the site that you'd only ever say in therapy, AA, or never at all. A lot of people use pseudonyms, obviously. And the Reddit corpus of data is incredibly valuable, but we don't need to give all that value to some of the largest companies in the world for free. Crawling Reddit, generating revenue, and not returning any of the value to our users is something we have a problem with.
So how to prevent it? You have different options. You could choose the complex technical option to build a fortress, protect your data behind an authenticated wall, and defend your data at all costs. In addition to opt out from the CCBot that has been used by OpenAI for ChatGPT, hire anti-bot cybersecurity companies like Datadome to help you prevent your data getting scraped by any non-welcome visitor, but this is kind of a game of cat and mouse. You could choose the legal road and use the law, but good luck navigating the complexity of such topic, especially regarding tech, where the law and politics will always be late trying to face the rapid pace of technology.
Does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi network?
There are even now tools that pop up to let you know if your website has been used to train AI models, such as Have I Been Trained, similar to the cybersecurity Have I Been Pwned, that lets you know if your password is compromised or not. Another option is to make your data accessible via an API, application programming interface, and you can decide to monetize the access to that API, meaning selling the access to your valuable data. And if the data is valuable, like the ones from Reddit or Twitter, it's fair from these social media platforms owners to restrict access to it. So to sum up, you can use tech to defend your data, use the law to prove violation in the access of the data, and sell your data. Or there is another option. Before that, if you like the content that I've been sharing, a little support is always appreciated. You can signal it by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. I'm always in need of some additional data points. So there is a last option, which is, wait for it, do nothing. Alright, I'm gonna be a bit more specific. You probably saw Google Street View cars in the past circulating in your streets and you never complained, right? And guess what? They are capturing data that is accessible without any consent, only they are doing it in a physical environment versus in a digital one for web scraping. This is how Google search actually works, by indexing billions of web pages with their Google bots. So what I mean is, expect your data to be crawled anyway. And if your data is part of your core product, then yes, protect it as much as you can. If you're a content creator, a good business model is to make 99% of your content accessible freely and only monetize 1% of it. But the only way to sustain a defensible moat is to keep being innovative, produce value, and make things people actually want. If you keep being innovative, you'll always be ahead, opening up your secret recipes only after they already generated revenue. In Web3 and crypto, there is this concept of provenance. It refers to the ability to verify the ownership and authenticity of a digital asset. But what does it even mean to be owners of your data? Your thoughts and words are the synthesis of the books you've read, the conversations you had, the language lessons taught from your parents, but you're not constantly thanking them every time you talk.
I want to thank my mom.
On top of that, keeping data private and just holding on to it like it's your sole property does not necessarily always do good for the world. Think about how sharing some kind of health data could allow to train machine learning algorithms to detect early forms of cancers. This could be very valuable. To conclude, all of this is still pretty new and challenging to navigate. If you're concerned about data bias in Chat-GPT, you can anticipate that pretty soon there'll be multiple versions of Chat-GPT-like models, probably by different verticals and industries, with hopefully less and less biased data, even though it's impossible to be 100% unbiased. I'm confident that some verticalized LLM models will be absolutely impressive, because the more narrow the data, the better the AI model would be. Regarding copyrights and data ownership, we can imagine a world where ChatGPT would always reference all the sources used to generate its response, and where micropayments could be made to each of the owners of the data sources that would be used to craft the answer. Finally, we can imagine a not so distant future where we'll see different groups that will emerge. Ones that will completely embrace AI, and ones that will do everything to show that they have not used anything AI related, and where some AI models will emerge labeled as trained on ethical training data, where people would have opt-in and gave consent to access their data. My final advice is that you should make sure that you're not data refractory, and that you will position yourself on the right side for this AI revolution. We won't fear it, but rather embrace it, like any technology that came and will come along. Thanks for watching the video. I hope that sparkled some ideas. I put some effort in the script, so as usual, if you liked it, please show some support by liking the video. And if you're interested in tech, entrepreneurship, and anything related to data, you might consider subscribing to this channel. If you want to watch a bit more practical examples of how data collection, aka web scraping, can be done, you can check these two videos that will pop up. Again, thanks for watching. See you at work.